Hello everyone and welcome to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I am Dylan Randazzo, and I am so excited to be talking about the big brawl that we have been waiting almost over a year from its initial release date for Godzilla vs. Kong, directed by director Adam Wingard. Before I dive into my review, I have a few interesting stats to say about Godzilla and Kong and their film adaptations. Godzilla, this is the 36th film starring Godzilla. This is the 12th film starring King Kong. This is only the 4th Godzilla film to be made by Hollywood, and it's the 4th film in the MonsterVerse. So the MonsterVerse includes, of course, Godzilla from 2014, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I have to say, right off the bat, the last two movies, Kong Skull Island and King of the Monsters, were not two of my favorites. I did appreciate, of course, the monsters, because the monsters themselves have always been cool. What we're able to do with CGI now, and with this huge budget MonsterVerse, the monsters are always going to deliver. You know, the fights are always going to be cool. But I think where this is a slight improvement is because this seems like the most self-aware this MonsterVerse has been in the past 3 films. I feel like this is the most self-aware about what it is trying to be, exactly what it is delivering. It's delivering that fight, Kong versus Godzilla. That is what people paid to see, and that's what they're getting. I think the massiveness of the spectacle is everything you want from this movie, and it certainly delivers on that. Now, of course, where the issues come with this film and with the previous 2 films is in the treatment of the human characters. The human characters just aren't as interesting. The difference here is that I feel like some of the characters had fulfilling plot lines that really made sense within the context of Godzilla and Kong's fight itself. But again, there are just some characters there that just seem like they're there to be plot devices. They're there to move the story along. You know, Kong has to face off against Godzilla, but how do we get them both in the same place at the same time to have their brawl? Oh, we're going to have this plot line where, you know, these humans have to go to this place, and then Godzilla's going to follow them there, and these humans have to take Kong to this place, and it turns out Kong is really where Godzilla is, and that's when they fight. You know, it's very clearly there as a plot device to get those two in the same place at the same time. And that's where I think the humans in this film, whenever there's a human scene, when it's not focused on the monsters, it almost takes you out of it. It almost halts the action and halts the pacing, just stops it dead in its tracks, because it's just not as interesting. The 2014 Godzilla, I think, did a very good job about making you feel the stakes for these human characters and actually feeling like they had a purpose within the story. But this time around, I just half of the characters that are in this lead ensemble of characters I felt didn't even need to be there. The one exception I will say is Kaylee Hoddle's character. She plays Gia, the young girl who has this special relationship with Kong, which I won't get into because, again, I'm not going to be saying any spoilers here, any major spoilers beyond what we see in the trailers and the basic premise. But the moments between her and Kong really are the best of the film, of this human interaction with these monsters. I think her character actually feels like it belongs in this MonsterVerse, not just as this added plot device, but as a legitimate character. I think her relationship with Kong is really what brings the film the most emotional resonance, because, you know, Godzilla, he's this big fire-breathing dragon. That's all you really need for him in terms of knowing all you need to know going into this fight. Whereas Kong, he can't rely on these otherworldly abilities like Godzilla can, so you really have to get to know him in a real emotional level, and I think they do a really good job making this character that you can empathize with, that you can really love, and it almost becomes a little too obvious that the movie is trying to get you to root for Kong in this face-off, in this duel, in this battle. Obviously, there are Godzilla fans out there, myself as one of them. I love Godzilla as a character. I find him intriguing. I was on Team Kong in this particular battle, but I think both monsters are so interesting, but they really do give a lot of that emotional storyline and character development to Kong himself, and I do think Gia is a really good way of doing so. I think Kaylee Hoddle herself is just a great performer. You know, the character is deaf, and the actress herself is deaf, and I think that's great, as deaf representation in film. I think we need more representation of deaf characters. We see it with Millicent Simmons in A Quiet Place, and a bunch of the supporting characters in Sound of Metal. I think it's really, really amazing to see representation in film, so I give it a big, big pat on the back for that. And just as an actress herself, I think she really emotes super well. I mean, you can tell everything she's thinking from her eyes without her having to say a line of dialogue. I think it's really impactful. All those silent but meaningful connections made between her and Kong, and then her and her mother and the other characters around her. I think she is the highlight of this movie. Aside from the two big guys, I think she is definitely the highlight of this movie. I think the dialogue itself, it's a little rough, but like I said early on, this film knows exactly what it is. It's not trying to be anything more than it actually is. I mean, those human plot lines really don't necessarily need to be there all the time, at least some of them. But the dialogue itself, it's a little rough. It's a little rough around the edges. But again, this is a movie about two big titans fighting each other, and that's what it is. So the dialogue, yeah, it's not great, but am I willing to look past it for the bigger spectacle, for what I went to the theater or went to HBO Max to see? Yeah, I'm willing to forgive it. As for the fights themselves, I really love how they're constructed. Something that I liked about the fights that I saw in Kong Skull Island and didn't really see much of in King of the Monsters is that these fights are very well lit. They're not overshadowed, they're not foggy, they're not clouded. They are either in broad daylight or the night fight, which takes place in the center of the city in Hong Kong. It's very well lit. I like when you can really see the battle and actually see the hard work that these fight choreographers and these visual effects artists put into it. And when you cloud it with all this weird fog and cloudiness and rain and dark hues, it really takes away from the action itself. And I think that's one of the really big detriments of King of the Monsters that I think this film returned to very well, that we saw from Kong Skull Island. I think this film did a very good job in making these scenes, energetic in the action choreography, but also, pleasing to the eyes and bright and colorful. I think the fight choreography is just a step up from everything we've seen in this universe, because these feel like action fights that could have been choreographed for actual human actors. They just happen to be big monsters. You can see that this is more than just punches and breathing fire. This is actual strategic manipulation that these characters are having, and it makes the battle feel more realistic and more intriguing to watch. Overall, like I said, you go to the movies for the fight, and you get the fight, and the fight is glorious. The human moments, as I said, it halts the film in its tracks a little bit, but I do think there is enough of the big spectacle stuff to really entertain. These are theme park movies. When you hear the term theme park movies, this is exactly what that is. So much so that some of these sequences actually felt like they could be roller coaster rides. There are literal scenes where people are in little vehicles and they shoot to like 700 miles per hour and they go under these tunnels and stuff, and that to me felt like I was watching a theme park ride, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what the film advertises and that's what the film promises to be, there's nothing wrong with that. Is this a piece of high art, high cinema? No, it's not. But is this a piece of entertainment that I enjoyed at the end of the day? Yes. Am I underwhelmed by some of the human stuff? Does it drag it down a bit? Yes. But at the end of the day, can I forgive it? Yes, I can. So, Godzilla vs. Kong, while not a masterpiece and not necessarily as good as I wished it could have been, I still think it is a recommendation for me. If you want to see two freaking huge monsters fighting it out, I think you can't look any further than this movie to satisfy that. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you want to see other videos on my channel, I have 4 monthly shows that I'm really excited about. One is a weekly show. It is a podcast as well, Marvelous Movie Mondays with Kelsey Kilpatrick. I have a blast talking about Marvel every single week. One is a bi-weekly show with Crosby Rosa titled The Great American Film Off. We set a topic, we each pick a film, and then we go head to head like Godzilla and Kong, fighting out our movies that we picked. Tomorrow there will actually be a new episode for the best pre-MCU superhero films. Will we be talking about Spider-Man, maybe the X-Men, Incredibles, Blade? You'll have to find out tomorrow. The other shows I'm doing monthly on the channel, once a month, are Frame Wreck with Matt Chapman, where I do a dive into the best of the bad movies that are so bad they're good. We did an episode for The Room, which is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to be talking about Birdemic next month. Another monster movie, if you will. And then I have a show with Chadwick Webb titled Picture This, where we do a marathon of every single Best Picture nominee in history. We started with 1994 this month. Next month we are doing 2020, of course coinciding with the Oscars that are happening on April 25th. All 4 of those shows have been so much fun and have really helped bring new audiences to this channel. I want to keep bringing audiences to this channel. I've been really impressed with the amount of subscriber growth I've seen and the likes and the views. I've been so overwhelmed with happiness for everyone who is enjoying this channel, and I urge all of you, if you are a subscriber, to please reach out to your friends. If every subscriber now gets 5 more subscribers, we could be in the hundreds in the next few days. And if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It really helps this channel grow. It motivates me to put out more videos more often for all of you to enjoy. And I hope you did enjoy this review. I hope you enjoy everything here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. It has been an honor getting this off the ground and running. This was the first big movie of 2021 that I was so excited to talk about, so I'm excited for all these other blockbusters to trickle out as we go. Everyone who sees Godzilla vs. Kong in a theater, please be safe, please follow the theater guidelines, and of course, have a great time. If you're not watching in theaters and you can watch at home on HBOMAX, enjoy it there too. I promise you, it is quite the treat. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.